The heat doesn't feel like weather, it feels like pressure, like the air itself is closing in. The rocks burn through fabric, the ground radiates upward, and every breath scrapes dry against the throat. No movement comes without cost. No shadow lasts long enough before a single shot is fired. Men are already collapsing where they stand. What remains is not a unit anymore. It's 10 figures scattered across a mountain that offers no cover, no mercy, no relief. They move slowly, deliberately, forcing themselves to stay upright as the horizon begins to distort. Far below, something shifts movement, distant, organized. The enemy is coming, and yet, when they arrive, they hesitate, because from the mountain above, it doesn't look like 10. Before we go further, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and tell me in the comments, how long do you think you could survive in extreme heat, without water or shade? Because what you're about to see isn't just a battle, its endurance pushed past its limit. This mountain was never meant to be held for long. It rises above a critical passage, a narrow route that controls access to everything beyond its supply lines, movement, momentum. Whoever holds this ground decides what moves and what doesn't. That's why they were sent here, not to win, to hold. But they've been here for days. No resupply, no rotation, just heat that doesn't fade, even at night. By the time the enemy finally begins to move, the damage has already been done. The first thing the mountain takes is rhythm. Movements that once felt automatic now require thought, effort, intention. Standing becomes a task. Walking becomes a decision. The heat presses down without pause, flattening energy, slowing reactions, turning simple actions into calculated risks. By midday, the ground itself feels alive with heat. It rises through boots, through legs, into the core of the body. There is no escape from it, no angle to avoid it. Even the air offers no relief. Dry, thin, and unmoving. Breathing becomes shallow, controlled, as if taking too much in too quickly might cause something to break. The men stop speaking as much, not out of discipline, but necessity. Words take energy, and energy is no longer something they can afford to waste. Communication becomes minimal gestures, brief looks, small signals. Everything is reduced to what matters most. The first collapse happens without warning. One moment, a soldier is standing, scanning the horizon. The next, he's on the ground, unmoving except for shallow breaths. There's no panic, no rush. The others look, assess, and understand immediately. This was always going to happen. They try to adapt, rotating positions, limiting movement, stretching what little water remains. But the mountain does not respond to effort. It does not adjust. It simply continues, constant and indifferent, wearing them down piece by piece. Time begins to lose its structure. Hours blurred together under the same unchanging light. The sun doesn't feel like it moves, it just exists, fixed above them, watching. Shadows shrink and disappear, leaving nowhere to hide, nowhere to recover. By the end of the first day, the realization settles in quietly. This is not a place you endure. This is a place that decides who remains, and it has already begun choosing. The second day doesn't begin, it continues. There is no sense of reset, no recovery from what came before. The heat returns exactly as it was, as if the night never existed. Whatever strength remained has not replenished. It has only diminished. More men begin to slow, not all at once, not dramatically, but in ways that are impossible to ignore. Steps shorten, reactions lag, focus drifts. The smallest tasks, checking a position, scanning the horizon, start to take longer than they should. The mountain is no longer testing them, it is reducing them. Water becomes the center of every decision. Every sip is measured, delayed, reconsidered. Some hold on too long, convincing themselves they can go further without it. Others drink too early and regret it hours later. There is no correct choice, only consequences that arrive at different times. Another collapse, then another, each one quieter than the last. There is no space left for surprise. When someone goes down, the others look, understand, and adjust. Positions shift, responsibilities redistribute. No one says it out loud, but everyone feels that the line is thinning. By the time the third day settles in, The group is no longer recognizable as it was. What was once a structured unit has become fragments, individuals holding pieces of something that used to be whole, and still, the position remains occupied. That's when the decision begins to form. Not spoken immediately, not agreed upon all at once but present. Leaving would mean survival for some. Staying means holding the position for longer. There is no instruction coming, no reinforcement on the way, only choice. When the number reaches 10, the reality becomes clear. This is all that remains, 10 men, on a mountain that has already taken more than half without a single direct engagement. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the enemy is still coming. The moment the enemy begins to climb, the defenders stop hiding. There is no more waiting, no more silent positioning. The illusion has already done its job. Now everything becomes movement, speed, and controlled chaos across the ridge. From multiple angles of the mountain, short bursts of fire erupt almost simultaneously, not sustained, not uniform, fragmented on purpose. Every shot is followed by immediate relocation. No position is allowed to feel permanent. The mountain becomes a shifting pattern of resistance. The enemy responds cautiously, returning fire, advancing in short, controlled pushes. But every time they try to fix a target, it shifts. Every attempt to isolate the defenders leads to another point of resistance opening elsewhere. A single shot breaks through the rhythm. One of the defenders is hit. There is no dramatic collapse, just a sudden loss of movement. A body no longer responding in the middle of the heat. For a brief moment, everything feels heavier, as if the mountain itself noticed. But there is no pause, no retreat. The others do not break formation or stop the illusion. The position that was lost is immediately replaced by movement from another angle, as if nothing has changed at all. The enemy notices it too, but they cannot afford to slow down. The engagement continues, and now every advance feels more dangerous. Each push forward comes with uncertainty about what is real and what is a distraction. And in that confusion, the defenders keep forcing the same truth onto the battlefield. The mountain does not reveal 10 men. It reveals pressure from everywhere at once. The mountain no longer feels like a battlefield. It feels like a closing silence. Stretched across burning stone and exhausted air, the heat remains unchanged, but everything else begins to collapse into inevitability. The enemy advances with certainty now. The hesitation is gone. They have understood the truth. There are only a few defenders left, and the position is close to breaking. The pressure shifts from uncertainty to controlled momentum. Up above, the defenders are no longer relying on deception. Movement is slower, positions are fewer. Every exchange costs more than it gains. The illusion that one stretched their presence across the ridge is gone, leaving only entrance behind. One by one, they are forced out of the fight. Each loss is quiet in its own way, no chaos, no confusion, just a gradual disappearance of resistance under sustained pressure. The mountain that once felt active begins to fall silent in layers. The enemy pushes forward more carefully now, not because they are unsure, but because they understand resistance still lingers in fragments. There is no central defense anymore, only scattered attempts to delay what is already inevitable. At the highest point of the ridge, only one defender remains active. He continues briefly, not because the situation allows hope, but because stopping has stopped being a choice a long time ago. It is just a final motion left. When the enemy finally secures the position, the engagement ends. The mountain goes completely still. No movement, no coordination, only heat, wind, and the aftermath of something that lasted far longer than expected. All defenders were lost, but the outcome had already been shaped before the final moments. The advance was slowed significantly. The attacking force suffered heavy losses, and what should have been a fast takeover turned into a costly, drawn-out battle that changed the timing of everything that followed. The mountain is silent now. No movement remains across the ridge, only heat rising from stone that once held a desperate defense. What happened here is no longer a battle in progress, it is an outcome already sealed. All of the defenders were ultimately eliminated, but their end does not define the result. The advance they faced was slowed far beyond expectation, and the attacking force paid a cost heavy enough to change the rhythm of the entire campaign that followed. They did not survive the mountain, but they shaped what came after it. The position held longer than anyone believed possible, and the enemy did not leave it unchanged. If this story pulled you in, leave a like, subscribe, and comment what extreme battlefield should be explored next.